Awesome. Well, Bobby, thanks for joining. I know we already have some people joining in as well, but like I said, a lot of people will be watching the recording, and I think we also have this on YouTube. So very
Okay.
exciting to have you on, Bobby.
Thank
So I
you.
want to just kick off by, maybe doing a quick introduction. I'd love to just get started by telling everyone you kind of have two roles, right? You
Yeah.
got Limetree Labs. So maybe let's start with what Limetree Labs is, sort
Sure.
of how that started, what your role is there, and then we'll kind of jump
Sure.
into Zest.
Yeah. No, that's great. And thank you, Victor. Been following you for a little while now and Flex Point and everything. And this is great. And so yeah, Limetree Labs. So Limetree Labs was started by three people, Chad Mazak and Andrea Lynn. So the three of us started Limetree Labs back in 2017. Um, Chad and I have been 20 plus years in the in the industry, MSP, IT service, that kind of stuff. We've been doing it forever. And so we've worked other places, small, large. I worked for a MSP that was like 90 million a year. Chad worked for a big one at Cincinnati, but we've worked for small ones too. In
Yeah.
fact, I think we met at a small MSP. So,
Yeah.
but at some point we decided to, start our own MSP and start going with that. So,
Yeah.
and really Limetree Labs was really born out of frustration of like, um, at the time that we started Limetree, it was really heavy remote was the thing. Like,
Okay.
don't do a truck roll or don't go see the guys. We're like just heavy remote, like, it's all zeros and ones and
Yeah.
high margin and all. It was really thick at the time. And
Yeah.
we didn't see small to medium businesses, we just didn't see that was a good good service for them. These
Yeah.
small and medium businesses. I mean, I think we've had a ticket once where we had to tell somebody to uh, turn their mouse over and turn it on. Right.
I'm
So,
sure I'm sure a lot of
right.
people listening in can relate there.
Oh man. I mean, and that was like a 20-30 minute troubleshooting. I think a service manager
Yeah.
uh would tell the story better than me. But anyway, so how like is obviously there's some remote, but my goodness, they're relying on you. And so we started with that premise and other stuff and business strategy. Andrea was just a top top of her class branding and marketing. Chad really is like the genius tech engineer guru. All kind of, we started rolling. So
Awesome.
it's been great. I mean, Limetree Labs is just it's grown every year, just
Yeah.
way above average. I mean, it just um, and
So
really,
how long ago? Yeah. So
yeah.
Bobby, how long ago did you start Limetree Labs? Just to give
So
everyone context here.
yeah, we started that in 2017.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So you've been around for about 7 years, yeah.
yeah, yeah, 7 years, and really, just like I said, it just we haven't had a slowdown yet at all. I mean, it just
Cool.
increases all the time, and with that, and so
So in
my
terms of
role.
so in terms of like the types of clients that you're serving, it sounded like part of the rationale for starting Limetree was to kind of focus on, more SMB type clients. Is that right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I would say that it's a big legal vertical, but medical and CPAs as well, that kind of thing. Really office, and really the size is there's Limetree Labs has some customers that are like three people, but they also have customers that are 300, 300 or
Yeah.
so employees.
Yeah.
So quite
Yeah.
a wide range there in terms of those customer size and their employees. So
Okay, awesome. So maybe switching gears slightly and kind of focus in on the conversation. Part of what kind of is really interesting to me, as a founder of a software company, I feel like you often, especially focused on MSPs,
yeah,
you guys all see the problems day to day. You experience the problems, or you live the problems. And so
Yeah,
I would imagine a lot of people listening, including yourself, have like a long list of different, tools that you can imagine creating or want to solve a different problem. So let's talk a little bit about that. So obviously there's multiple different PSAs out there. They all do a lot of different things. They all do things, some better than others, some different than others. A lot of them have been around for a long time. So,
yeah,
so tell me a little bit about, at Zest, and maybe even, or sorry, at Limetree, and even before Limetree. Sounds like you and your partners had a lot of experience at other big MSPs, but like, tell me more about like the problems that you were facing with the existing solutions out there, and
sure.
sort of that drive to start to look into building your own solution.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question. So yeah, one of the things we always ran into, and it never really seemed to get solved through all the years. I mean, I remember a time, both, Chad and I remember, it was really two options, way back in the day, in terms of a PSA and some of the other tools, you just you had two options, and that was it. And then other stuff started coming through. Um, and we'll talk about too how FlexPoint for me was such a huge solved a big problem, such a
Yeah,
great easy solution. I'll touch on that, but just because that's what it is when you're trying to build an MSP, is you got to take that tech and engineer hat off, and you've got to come from it as you're owning a business, or you're however small or
yeah,
large, whatever, because you don't want chaos, and you want some consistency and stuff. And so, really, the tools and solutions that we have struggled with all these years, the problems, the problems that we've seen are, and number one is that the solution is just too big.
yeah,
The product is too big, whatever you want to call it. It's
yeah.
enterprise level. We
Hmm.
know, I mean, we know the average size of an MSP is like seven staff, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
sometimes some things say no less. We know that like 85% of the industry struggles to get over $1 million a year, like, and all these stuff. So
Yeah,
for the most part, the industry is smaller businesses, smaller businesses,
yeah,
which
yeah,
actually I think it's great in a way,
yeah.
because they have a certain level of care they can give these customers,
Right.
which I think is wonderful. It's
Mhm.
what makes the sales cycle so long and so hard sometimes in our
Yeah,
industry,
yeah,
is that say you have a small MSP, it's five people.
hmm,
Well, and this hypothetical, but let's say they can take care of 20 customers really well.
yeah.
Well, those 20 customers are getting really good service.
Right, right.
But because they haven't quite built out, the right processes, or maybe the right solution stuff, customer 21, 24,
Yeah,
25, it starts,
right.
right. And
Yeah,
they can't get through that. But those 20, they ain't going anywhere. It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
My sales and marketing, and none of that matters. That 20, they're getting solid service, and you're
yeah,
just not going to
yeah.
break through, right? And so,
Right, right.
we've always had this mindset of growth, through service delivery, because that's
Yeah,
really what pays off in this industry. So going
yeah,
back to your question, enterprise type solutions. So most of the stuff that we've used through the years, you can't even use 100% of the product,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so, you know, we would get a solution, a PSA or RMM or something like that, and we're only able to use 30 or 40% of what it does, because
yeah,
we would need a full-time person
yeah.
that all they
Right,
did was run it.
right.
And
Yeah,
there's a lot of solutions and tools out there like that.
yeah,
And even some of the consulting things out there that are not by region or by area, that kind of blanket the whole, United States or globally. Like,
yeah,
in some of the numbers and some of the things they tell MSPs to reach for are off, because you just can't do that. The numbers in
yeah,
Philadelphia are different than, somewhere in, Colorado maybe, or something like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just different. So that the biggest thing was that the products were too big. They were too, and also, for us, we hated contracts. We just
Sure.
hated it.
Yeah.
Inevitably you'd get in a contract and it would really hurt you as an MSP to change and grow.
Hmm.
And, like Chad always says, we found ourselves sometimes changing what we felt was a great business model to accommodate some of the tools. And
Yeah.
that's a nightmare.
Right.
And by the way, I'm glad we didn't do it because, the business model we had in mind is working fantastic. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, it's a great point, and I think a lot of folks in the industry, right? And I think a PSA is a perfect example of this. But you're exactly right. You almost need a full-time employee or a
Yeah.
full-time consultant that can really set it up and give you full functionality. So, I mean, to kind of go off of that a little bit more, and sort of putting on your MSP hat on, but do you think over the years the PSA has tried to almost do too much rather than just
Absolutely.
focus on like the core,
Yeah.
ticketing service type component?
I do. I think it's tried to do too much. I think a lot of the products out there have tried to do too much.
Hmm.
And, you know, um, think of even Intuit, right? Like even their
Yeah.
products do what they do,
Hmm.
right? And does what it does maybe very well. Maybe some people think that, but so there's nothing wrong. I think that's the other thing is mindset. There's nothing wrong with having multiple products and multiple things that help you to run a business. That's very common. It's been common for a long time. I don't somehow this thought got in there of like, no, one vendor, don't have to manage multiple vendors and stuff. And that's just, I mean, come on, we're like, grow up. Like it's not hard to
Yeah.
manage multiple vendors. Like grow up. Like you don't
Yeah.
need just one to do it all because as we know, jack of all, like what's the phrase we've heard since at least
Yeah.
I was a kid, right? Jack of all
Jack of
trades,
all
master
trades,
of
master of
none.
none.
I mean, you hear it all. We
Right.
know
Yeah.
this. We
Yeah.
know this.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, even, I'm totally genuine when I bring stuff up. So even with FlexPoint for like when Limetree started using that, that's like a 2-3 it was like 2 or 3 day onboarding, get going. There was you always have to work out kinks with anything you use, but
Sure.
now it's rolling. It's great, like things are worked out, but we're going, people are using it. It's not
Yeah.
it's I think MSPs shouldn't let uh, anything get in the way of you knowing your customer, having a relationship, serving the customer, spending time with customer, spending time on strategy with your business, on your employees, learning new
Yeah.
tech. There's all these things. Don't spend time in your tools. You
Right.
have to spend some time. Of
Right.
course, there is some kinks to
Yeah.
work out and stuff, whatever.
Sure.
But that's what I like. I like tools that you go in, it takes you a couple days and then you're rolling. There's some kinks you work
Yeah.
out, kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
also the integration, like you don't need a million integrations. I mean, that's,
Right.
again, so yeah, very specific. So yes, a long way to answer your question. I think that the PSAs out there tried to do too much. I also
Yeah.
think that purpose-driven products actually I think are good. Like, it's funny all the stuff we've been told by the so-called industry experts that we just we reject it. Like,
Yeah.
well, don't do a PSA because that like there's big, big giants. You
Hmm.
can't never beat them, right?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
even though we
Mhm.
hated using those tools for over 20
Mhm.
years,
Yeah.
we've literally eyes bleeding trying to use those tools. Don't do that. And, don't be purpose driven. Don't, and we've just rejected all that because Zest is not a product for every MSP out there. It's just not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is specifically driven for MSPs trying to build their business a certain way.
Yeah.
And also too, like maybe VCs don't like to hear that. Oh, you got to be a product for the whole world and everything under the sun. I think that's just garbage. Like,
Yeah.
so MSPs need to know, like for us, we went from scratch. What do they need in this product?
Right.
I mean, one simple thing is like we always thought that trying to make sure we're staying in touch, that relationship with the customer was always kind of a tough thing to track, whether through
Yeah.
Microsoft or something else, whatever. It was
Yeah.
kind of hard, but it was very important. I mean, we got so busy, you could go 4, 5, 6 months and they'd be like, oh man, we've never even went by,
Yeah.
that customer, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's just there's a button in there. There's a button that says,
Yeah.
make sure if you know, it's going to go yellow and go red if you haven't went by,
Yeah.
you know, simple things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The other thing too, Victor, is like, you know, we're big proponents of, you know, not doing break fix, not doing block time, not doing any
Yeah.
of that. I mean, ScalePad recently, Lewis had a podcast with Chris Doe, was just phenomenal. It was about like, stop doing those things. You know, the whole per
Yeah.
hour thing came from the legal community, and it's just,
Yeah.
you know, and so, but we put, you know, we've done that. We drew that line in the sand and said, no, this is how we're going to do,
Yeah.
you know, the MSP of like, we're going to
Yeah.
deliver this service for so much a month. And we
Yeah.
had many times, I tell people, you know, there's probably 30% or more of Limetree Labs customers that were people that said they'd never do anything but break, fix, or block time, and they
Yeah.
did, right? They did. It's like,
Yeah.
what, how much you want to pay? What's the value? Let's work this
Right.
out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so it's
So,
meant for a certain way to run, you know, an MSP. So
yeah, I was going to ask you, so who, like, if you had to kind of point out the characteristics, right? You know, you mentioned average MSP is probably 7 employees, you know,
yeah,
struggles to get above $1 million of revenue. If
yep,
you had to kind of pinpoint who Zest is built for
yeah,
and going to get most value and also be most successful, because I mean, you pointed out, right? It's not for everyone, but
no.
who is it going to help the most?
Yeah, really. I think it really is for that, you know, 80 to 85% of the market. I think it's small MSPs starting up, medium size MSPs. We do have, you know, good size MSPs, you know, rolling, you know, well over 5 million and, you know,
Yeah.
20 some employees using it. But again, if you need an enterprise level software, which some do, if you're
Yeah.
a $400 million MSP with hundreds and hundreds of
Right.
employees, you
Yeah.
probably need a very robust enterprise
Right.
system.
And 10 people
Yeah.
focus on your PSA.
Yes, yeah, and you need, you know, all the different reports and stuff, you know, and you
Yeah.
probably need
Right.
that. It's definitely not going to work for that, and it never will. Frankly, you know, it's
Yeah.
just not built that way.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're a smaller MSP, you know, you're you know, in that size, and you're really wanting to grow through monthly recurring revenue, you know, not through break fix and block time and all that, but you know, and you're wanting to have a simple PSA that is marvelous at tracking time. That's the other thing too. If you don't care about time tracking, then I don't know if it's probably not good for you, because Zest is just excellent at time tracking, because we think that that's a key component of having a successful MSP. You have to track your time. You've got to know
Yeah.
where all your time's going. There's so many reasons why.
Yeah.
So, you know, but again, you might, and we've heard this. I've been to conferences before where, you know, successful MSPs are like, oh, we don't do that. We just take care of the customer. We have a pod theory, you know, it's like, you know, so if you want to track time, if you want something that, you know, lets you spend more time on the business, and you know, it's going to give you that ability to know what's going on, you know, it's a tool for you, meaning that the right on every page is a dash bar, we call it, and it's got 6 buttons on there. If all those buttons are green, you're good. Your customers are good, right?
That's great.
Your customers are good. You're good,
everything's
right?
Yeah.
And if that's what you're looking for, but if you know, if you're looking to do like 200 workflows, SQL reporting, like if you're really looking for all that kind of stuff, then yeah, it's not going to work. But if you want to be able to come in as a business owner of an MSP, sit down at your desk, pull up Zest and be like, oh, all green, we're doing good, you know, and everything's clickable. So if there's a, you know, 2 red, click in the red, it'll show you what's wrong.
Yeah.
If that's kind of when you roll, then it works. But yeah, it's not, you know, and we have key integrations, and we're going to continue with more integrations, but we're not going to have a million. We're not, you know, it's just, it's going to stay a very simple tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think even for us over at FlexPoint, one of the things that we've learned is, you know, if you can go very deep into a specific problem, right? It could be a pretty simple problem, right? Like getting paid. But you do that really, really well, then, you know, there's going to be a lot of people who who are going to look for that solution. So Bobby, just in the last few minutes, I do have some questions that a few people sent over ahead of time. So let me
Yeah.
just quickly run through those in case anyone that's listening live wants to drop in a question as well. But in terms of RMM tools, how do you integrate, or how does that work with
Yeah.
Zest? Is the
Great
question.
question. Yeah. So we have just an awesome integration with Ninja One.
Okay.
They've been with us from the start, and we, it was
It's
Ninja
another
RMM, now
big sort
Ninja
of
One.
independent,
Yep.
yeah, RMM
Yep.
tool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we love that tool for all the reasons I've talked about today with you. And so
Yeah.
great integration with them, really good. What we're most excited about is we're about to finish an integration with Level. It's
Okay.
a new RMM, level.io, and it is going to knock people's socks off. I mean, it is so good. And
Yeah.
our integration with them is going to be very close, almost like
Yeah.
it's the same company almost, really. And so we're very excited about that. But yeah, I think those are the two I would recommend nowadays. I mean, the other ones out there, we could talk about issues all
There's
day
plenty
long.
out there. Yeah, we don't have to
Yeah.
go over all of them.
Yeah.
This next question I thought was really interesting. So the question is, so is Zest best suited for someone that's moving from not using a PSA, so some other form of like time tracking or something, to like a lighter weight version of a PSA, or someone that's switching from a different PSA, an existing PSA, to Zest?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting question. Like, is it
It is.
better suited for someone who hasn't used something, or like, is coming from a
Yeah.
specific other solution? Yeah.
Well, we've seen both,
Yeah.
frankly. A lot of the MSPs we've seen that have never used anything, that Zest is their first thing. It is almost easier for them because
Yeah.
it doesn't look and feel and act like anything else out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like they just put the code on and go.
Right. Yeah.
But we still have a lot that come from all the other tools.
Yeah.
I mean, we have one just the other day to say, oh, I love that I won't say the name, but I love that PSA,
Sure.
but it's just super complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we do get a lot that are trying the other PSAs out there, but they're just too much for them to really work with. And so we've so
simplicity. Yeah. I mean, simplicity goes a long way. That's why, it's our tagline over here is payments made simple, right? It's like anything you can do, make it simple. All right, Bobby, in the last minute here, where can people find you? LinkedIn, email, if they want to reach out.
Yeah. So, I'm on LinkedIn just for Bobby Lind on the LinkedIn, and the website for Zest is www.zestmsp.com. They can go on there and look.
Sorry, Bobby, one question from the audience I missed here, but so is Zest compatible with any outsourced service desk providers? And couched by saying, given Bobby's service delivery philosophy, I'm guessing not.
Yeah, we haven't really went down that road, really. I mean, it could be used. I don't see why it couldn't be used. Yeah. I mean, it's built on everything it's built on is cloud-based and everything else, so it could be absolutely used. I don't see any reason it wouldn't be. Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. So everyone, feel free to reach out to Bobby on LinkedIn, over email, and Bobby, thanks for joining. I'm sure a lot of people will be excited to learn more about Zest MSP.
Excellent. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.